No, you're ready. Come on in. Have a great time. Sit down.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah, don't be sorry.
You see my eye?
What happened?
I was at the gym.
Uh-huh.
In the pool.
Yeah?
Somebody opened the jacuzzi door. And
Smacked you?
I
Oh.
have a cat here.
Yeah?
He was breathing like crazy.
Oh,
They want to
no.
take me to the hospital and do stitches. I said no. And
Just put the Vaseline on it.
Pressure and you know, it's a week. It was last Tuesday. Everybody says amazing how fast I do.
Yeah, that's what I say. It looks great. Even I can tell a little bit down here.
Here was a big bump because here was the handle and here was a cut.
Oh, wow.
Because when you are with natural things, with things, and your body is clean and things, you heal faster than people who have toxins. And, you know, I'm very happy.
You have told me to tell you hi.
Oh, good. Fantastic.
And I saw your new card.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Really interesting.
Well, and I might be going through a whole new change. Like I say, life is just becoming amazing these last few months. So we'll see how things go. We'll get the music. Is that off? Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, so we were waiting just for you. Just that way, anybody else who comes in, we'll let them come in, and we'll let them be able to grab a seat. And that way, hopefully, they'll be able to keep following along with us. So, welcome everybody. Brand new guest, fantastic. My name is Joe, Coach Joe, and I'd like to at least get your guys' names so I know, because I always talk to everybody, and that way I can keep in the back of my head as to who the people are. So
this is Lauren.
And
I'm Mary Beth.
And Mary Beth, fantastic. Okay, so welcome. This is Thoughtful Thursday. So you picked a really, really great topic to come in and talk about things because we're going to really focus on superfoods and skin and how honestly you can start really working on complexion issues, face concerns, hair, skin, and nails from the inside out. Yes.
That's why we came in. She's my esthetician.
Oh, beautiful. So you're actually practicing.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great. You're going to leave here with so many fantastic one-liners, tidbits, advice for people to where you're like, oh yeah, you got the bags under the eyes? Okay, well we got to get you on this, we got to get you on that. And understanding how the health is so interrelated. And so we'll go through some details here, but that's amazing because you'll actually see it. And when I start talking about it, and then you go and I love walking around public places and actually being able, especially like at Disneyland, and just like standing there and going, liver dysfunction, constipated, I'm just like, okay, and it just keeps you in focus on, and you're actually looking in detail at people and saying, oh, wow, and I think that's the beauty of how we look at ourselves. It goes back to our theme for 2016, and that's the idea of you want to own your health, and not the idea of like 1910 owning things, but more on the 1990s version of owning things. Really get it done. Really have it be something that I'm doing this, and it's going to take care of that. Last week's class was really awesome. We did epigenetics, and that's where you kind of learn the whole process of what we're starting to do here by changing things. But this week we're going to learn on how to kind of just focus on the skin and let the skin be one of those nice vehicles where we can see change happen, where we can see our bodies actually transform, because it happens all the time in front of us. So if you're joining us through Periscope, Facebook, or YouTube, Ustream, whichever one that you're picking up us up on, my name is Coach Joe. You can reach me at brilliancenutrition@gmail.com or joseph@rrsuperfoods.com. If you have any questions, any advice that you might need, feel free, give me a phone call, email quick on that one. I'll let you know what we can do to get information back to you. So since you can't be here, everybody who's here, this is a participation class. I want to find out and hear what's going on for you. And when I say something like, oh, hey, by the way, eat this, it's going to fix that. And you're like, no, really? Seriously? I want people to get this in a way that actually goes home with you. That's the most important piece. It doesn't need to just stay here and just be between me and the wall, and something that I like to see have happen. When people go home, they go, hey, I actually tried what you said, and here, look, this is what happened. Fantastic. That's the most important piece in this. The way we begin every week, though, for everyone who's coming in first time, is we actually love to do a 1-minute meditation to just allow some conscious breathing to occur. So critical in creating a change and an effect overall for the human body, and allowing, that's as cool as it's going to get, allowing for us to have, even just if this is the 1 minute you get out of the week. I hope it's not the case. I hope every day you do this 25 times, because that's probably about as many times as you need it, 1 per hour, and then 1 just to make sure you're having a good day. And this is part of this process. So the way we do this, though, is we actually try to take a very, very long inhalation in. We hold on after about 7 seconds. We'll breathe out for 8 seconds and really fully evacuate the lungs. We do that twice, and then we just have 30 seconds of nothing, and then I'll go in with the rest of everything. But that gets us started to be able to drop the world out there, be more in here, and let this all just be some fun for the rest of the evening. So if you follow along with me, we really want to take note of where our diaphragm is and the muscles that are right here, because this is how we control our breath. So even if you're placing your hands on your stomach, the idea is you'll feel the way that your musculature is coming in and out, and actually that gives you another sense on how you're breathing. So if you follow along with me, 7 seconds of breath in, and you're just holding a big full lung for a couple seconds there, and then 8 seconds of breath out. All the way down to technically that spot where there's nothing really left anymore, and then 7 seconds of breath in. Now just always bigger and deeper and fuller, and then holding for 2 seconds there, and then 8 seconds of breath out. All the way down. And then 30 seconds of just normal breathing in space. Fantastic. Like you say, I hope everybody's eyes just pop open. You realize the world's a little bit brighter. Things are a little bit more calm. That's kind of how we get control of things. So I love to have a kind of a focus. That way we can kind of see how all this information is going to tie into one real piece of information. It's what I call the mindset change. When you come in here before this class, the idea is you're thinking about things one way. I'm hoping if I have a great job at doing what I'm doing and I have that effect, you leave with a kind of a different attitude, a different thought process. So the mindset here is that for, and especially everyone in the room who's a woman, raise your hand on the idea, you might believe you can cover up organ stress, inflammation, and a lot of dysfunction in your digestive cavity with a lot of crazy products, material, makeups, and I'm just telling you, you can't. You can't hide it forever. You might be able to hide it for a while, but the unique thing is it's actually there. It's a trigger system. It's the text message that you automatically get for signing up on a newsletter. It's the idea that your body's saying, hey, problem. And if you don't listen to the little flashy light, like if you're driving in your car and you see one of those little signals pop up and it goes, service engine soon. You're like, well, I've been driving for 3 weeks with it on. It must be okay. There's no issue here. And eventually the light even might turn off and you're like, it fixed itself. And you don't realize that probably whatever has now given you a warning has malfunctioned. And now you're taking that real risk. What further damage am I doing? So we all kind of get that in a way because our vehicle tells us by giving a little flashing light. Sometimes it'll beep at us and literally say, oil change, oil change. Oil. Every time you turn the car on, oil change. You're like, okay, fine, I'll go do that. The upkeep on the human body is kind of the same way, and the flashing light indicators are the same sort of system. They're just here, and actually they're on your tongue. And they're actually in your eyes, and they're on your hands, and they're on every part of your body actually tells you something about another part of your body. That's this beautiful interconnected nature that we are built with, and it's so amazing to actually know how to start to work against issues when you see them. That's, I think, where a lot of people say, well, my eyes do this, my face looks like that, my skin's kind of off like this, my hair's doing all these funny things. I don't know how to fix it, so I'll just cover it up as much as I can. So I'm hoping that everybody will hear these details and go through this information tonight and actually come away with, say, a few things that you might see that are on the shelves behind me, or different sort of behaviors and routines that can really seriously change the way your body appears, and that's because you're actually fixing your health in the ways that they're being expressed. So, your skin. It's interesting because I think, just like everything else in the human body that does its function automatically, we take it for granted. We just don't even know that we're actually abusing it, we're misusing it, we're mistreating it, and we're not listening to it. It's unique because a lot of times this is where I look at the concept between an onion and an avocado, and the two couldn't be any different. If you actually take a look at the outside of an onion and it's been squished on one portion from some reason or another, it'll show. It's actually got some discoloration, maybe some fluid leaked out. It starts to change. That paper thin skin gives us a good amount of information as to what's going on the inside. Bad onion, good onion, we can make a discernment because we can actually see through the outside. Sometimes we have issues more like avocado, to where we don't really know there's a problem until we cut that thing open and get to the inside, and you go, rotten. Oh no, this is my last one and I have no guacamole. So this is funny because a lot of problems don't really show up on our face. So the ones that do, the ones that show up externally, we can start working on those. We can take that onion's information, that thin skin vegetable there, and really start to mess around with it. And if all of a sudden we kind of start working a problem and it gets a little bit worse, or something else happens, then we stop and we go, okay, wait a minute, I'm getting into more of this deeper issue. There's another thing going on here that I've got to really address. I've got to take some time for. I've got to actually spend moments, and if you think of that person who is dedicated to a hobby, I've got to learn how to do this. I've got to actually make health a pastime. And then eventually for me, what happened is health became a passion, and now health is a career. So it's unique how everybody out there has this progression. Some people don't want to touch health with a 10-foot pole. And the idea is, well, I'll just wait till that flashing red light goes to the point of the engine failing and you being on the side of the road before I deal with the problem. Instead of, let's just maintain things. Let's keep things easy. Let's actually work on them in just a small, small fashion. Being an esthetician, it's unique because you are in this process. You see these concerns. People come to you with problems, and it's unique because you're that first line of defense, honestly. And that's where I think this class and this information is going to really hit home, because the care of the skin is something that most people don't really think happens inside the stomach. They just don't. They think it's all on the outside. And it makes sense because that's the easy way of looking at it. We wouldn't imagine by actually fixing how our gut digests food that we can improve the overall quality and the way our skin looks. And it is that simple. If we take care of the gut, we can actually see better overall expression of skin. Every time when we're taking care of our skin on the outside, we can do a lot through different products, facials material. We can do a lot of good exfoliation. We can add serums and put good oils on our skin, do different types of facial peels and things, and really try to add in what we think we might be missing. But you're only getting the exposure to that particular item for the moment that it's actually in contact with your skin, and then it's gone. It's not doing its job. On the other hand, you typically eat 3 to 5 meals a day for most people. Every single time you're eating, you're deciding good skin, not good skin. And it's one of those decisions that really magnifies over time when you see your repetitive behaviors and habits. So it's really interesting how I love the idea that this in the outer skin, to me, is not the place where most people should focus. The skin on the outside is really meant to just kind of flake off eventually if we're doing a good job at exfoliating, and it's there to keep us somewhat protected so we're not getting really sunburnt all the time, and that we actually have the ability to hold moisture in. So that slightly, dead dermis really just traps in and sort of works like saran wrap in order to protect the rest of the body. Then we have the subdermis. And we have this other tissue that's a few more cells thick. The dermis is about 3 cells thick, and then we have the subdermis, which is actually about 15 to 20 cells thick, and in some places it can get even thicker. The subdermis is more squishy. It's more fleshy. It has more oils in it. It has more structure. It's where we hold our hair follicles. It's where we get a lot of our sebaceous fluid that we call sweat. And we actually have the lymph right underneath of that subdermis in order to actually allow for our body to move the communication network that our skin has more contact with our lymph than it really does even our blood sometimes. And our lymph system is so interconnected with every other part of our body when it comes to hormone health, immune function, and just understanding detoxification for the human body. And that's why the skin can give us a lot of information. If we're focusing on the two parts of the skin, the epidermis, the dermis, and the subdermis, we're really then finally in a zone where what happens with certain organs. Everybody can understand, I think, sitting here, that if we're going through life and we see issues on our face, most traditional medicine doctors don't need to do blood work, they don't need to do x-rays, they don't need to do exams anywhere inside the body protruding into your system. They look at your face, they make an understanding of what's happening, what the information is displaying, and then they make a recommendation based upon what that's telling them. And it's unique on my part because that's where I love seeing this happen, because more people than not, when they start living healthfully, they see it in their actual facial structures, their overall wrinkling conditions. Everything starts to change the way the body's operating. Certain organs actually have effects in certain areas. The bags under the eyes is a lot of times a condition of the liver, and we're actually seeing inflammation in the body and not processing water very effectively out of the kidneys. So if you're a person who, as an esthetician, someone comes to you and goes, I don't know what happened. About 5, 10 years ago, all of a sudden my eyebrows don't grow in anymore. I don't have long eyebrows like I used to. And they don't understand that that's actually an indication of thyroid dysfunction. And now they have to go and get the permanent makeup tattooed on their face in order to make, well, wait, I had eyebrows before, everything was fine. Now I don't have eyebrows. What's, your body's telling you, I don't have the energy and I don't have the hormone profile to maintain that particular place of indicating on how the body's operating. We all see the crow's feet, quote unquote, on the wrinkling system to the outside of the eyes. And we can call them smile lines, and we can say that, but ultimately it shows that there's actually a lot of small intestine distress, and that we're actually having an issue with inflammatory foods potentially, and that we've got something occurring where our body needs to start detoxifying. And it can, if it's just a food poison, like what the potatoes and the tomatoes and the nightshades give us, great, because that's simple. If it's glyphosate or GMOs or some sort of other allergenic material, we've got to really work on our diet and understand that's giving us a pretty good long indication. When we see people who are just ultra red, we need to understand that red tone. That red in tone shows that that liver and the gallbladder complex is in a major stress zone. We have a lot of inflammation. We probably have a person who's got a lot of heartburn happening. And it's unique when you can ask people these questions. Hey, I've noticed you kind of walk around, you just got a nice flush face. Do you have heartburn? They literally look at you like you're crazy. They go, every night. How'd you know? Well, your face told me that there was an issue going on here. So taking care of these organs is the daily maintenance of keeping the machine that we are, the beautiful human machine, in operation and at its best, at its optimal operation. If we let things slip under, we stop maintaining all of our conditions in our body, that's where we start to see all of these negative effects start to really come into the body. So we live in a toxic soup. That's the fine truth of it. I don't know, and really I don't know of any place on the planet that actually is 100% protected or safe, and to where if you move there, you get perfect skin and everything just goes away. I've seen, honestly, I'll have to say this though, every time, and I don't usually watch anything in the middle, but I like seeing the people who come in on the new season of Survivor, and then I like looking at them when they leave. And they've just spent on average anywhere between 3 to sometimes 4 months in a completely desolate, non-Western influenced survival sort of mode, eating whatever they can find, and in what we would call a very primal sort of state. And you look at them in terms of guys who go in, gray hair, total top, gray hair, start getting color back. Did he find hair dye somewhere on the island? No. He finally took toxins and put them out of the body, so now his hair isn't losing all of its coloration. We get a lot of people again who show up. I remember Rupert; he was my best example. The guy like lost 60 something pounds while he was there and came out feeling better than he ever was going back in, and did like 3 more rounds. I heard, I guess, in the way that Survivor worked. So his weight loss plan was just keep showing up on Survivor. Like fantastic. It's unique because we can see this occur in other countries and other cultures. We always recognize it when we say, wow, particular people from a certain area have just very placid, very plastic looking skin, very ceramic, very beautiful. I wonder what they do. They probably don't live in America. That's probably their biggest benefit here is understanding how this really happens. We're not going to focus too much on this, but when you have an allergy, what happens is your body starts becoming inflamed. And if you don't recognize the allergy that you're actually having the response to, now this could be eggs, this could be gluten, this could be grapefruits, this could be, I've got people who are allergic to a lot of weird funky things. This can be pesticides, fertilizers, a lot of larvicides and fungicides, actual true poisons, which it makes sense you're allergic to them. And those can be the ones that are actually, again, erupting the skin. Your body's trying to detox. Most people don't remember or they're not told the skin is the largest detoxification organ that you maintain. And you have 400 to 700,000 little pores that actually all are supposed to be dumping excess material out of your body. And I love it when people come in and they sit down, they talk to me, and they're like, oh, no, I don't sweat. I'm like, ever? And I'm like, okay. And so then you hear all their problems and all their conditions, and yeah, and you just hear, like, well, you got to start sweating. That's important here. It's unique because again, we're just under a lot of environmental stress that really happens. These allergies are reactive, and it's not just saying that you get your watery eyes or some sort of sinus, hay fever sort of condition. You're literally seeing your body try to get rid of something that it can't handle, and the immune system's fighting, just like any other virus. The reason we have things like chickenpox that perform an actual little blister and ooze material out is the virus leaving the body. It's your immune system rejecting what was inside the body and pushing it out. And yet when we have constant sort of very hormonal related or any type of allergic sort of acne to the body, we don't think the same thing, and yet that's exactly the process that we're going through there. Antibiotics, the biggest damage that we have done to ourselves in the last 70 years is the routine and very consistent use of antibiotics for generally non-issue problems. You get gunshot in the stomach, I get it. Use some antibiotics. If you're going through major open heart, surgery, you need probably some antibiotics. There's a lot of potential. But when you have a sniffle, and the idea is you take an antibiotic, most people don't understand that it's 6 months to a year to rebuild the gut from one round of antibiotic. And they don't understand that antibiotics by themselves are actually poison compounds. Mm-hmm. They are poisons from other plants that seem to, on the majority, kill other bacteria and certain types of material that we become exposed to. So if someone told you that when you were sitting there taking Z-Pack after Z-Pack, or you've got a little bit of an issue, but I don't really know what it is, so just go ahead and take some roundabout antibiotics, 14 days, that'll be no problem. And you don't understand what's actually occurring because it's shutting down the whole rest of your entire gut system. So antibiotics lead to a lot of bad digestion. They lead to a lot of probiotic death. And then when we don't have our probiotic death, we're not digesting our food very well. So now you have more byproducts from the food you're eating that have to be detoxed some way. Your body puts it out the skin. And that's where we can see a lot of contamination issues. Fat-soluble toxins are unique because, again, one of these things that your skin is doing is it's holding this whole beautiful lymph system together. And all this fat-soluble material is moving around. And when we actually develop more adipose tissue on our body, when we actually develop fat cells, it's usually to be storing more of the actual toxins our body needs to release. So imagine you're living in this little city here, and technically what happens is everywhere around you is nothing but storage centers to deal with everybody's junk. that instead of the beautiful countryside that we enjoy here in Temecula Valley. That's what, when we see adipose tissue developing, that's what's happening. You're just throwing more junk out of your garage and out of your house into more and more storage components in order to try to make it work and try to make your life livable. And your body's very important on trying to discern this for fat soluble toxins. These are your pesticides. These are plastics. These are fertilizers. These are environmental toxins that are sprayed into the air. They're in the food. They're in the water. And we become exposed to a lot of these material very routinely. And it's hard, really hard, to sometimes pull them out and get them detoxed away from the body. Like I say, the tap water is probably the most routine thing that we come in contact with. It's probably the most toxic compound I know of that people, again, inadvertently expose themselves to, because we just don't think to not trust what's coming out of the tap. We try to filter, we try to do all of these sort of processes, but if they, again, didn't put the compounds in there in the first place, we wouldn't be dealing with this issue. I could deal with a little bit of chlorine. I could deal with a little bit of other cleansers and cleaners like iodine. You can use iodine to clean water and actually make it healthful for people. But instead, they use different things like chlorine, fluorine, and bromine to allow that to be part of the cleansing process, and it causes the water to destroy our body. And the worst way it does it is shutting down our thyroid, which actually makes it hard for our body to process other materials, hard to digest, hard for us to actually create proper hormones. So that tap water, again, is just breaking the systems down. If you've got the food being toxic and the air being toxic and the water being toxic, and then you've got other things that are happening, like I say, all of these nutritional deficiencies that people are suffering from. Vitamin D deficiency, magnesium deficiency, our 5 essentials, which is our next class, definitely invite you back because it's such a good foundation to begin with, and understanding why all of these amazing superfoods are what they are and do what they do for us, and how to get going on a plan and a program. So when we have nutritional deficiencies, this is where we stop building collagen. We stop building elastin. We're not able to actually create the nice plumpness and freshness inside our bodies when we don't have all the amino acids we need, or we're lacking certain compounds like sulfur and silica, and we're missing out on those connective tissues. So we're going to talk about a lot of these things that really do contribute in the nutritional deficiency categories, because you can eat your way back to amazing skin, an amazing overall look in the body. The one thing I know that is definitely my big condition, and the thing that I struggle with so much because of my motivation and issues in terms of trying to work as hard as I do, is when you don't sleep, your body is going to have issues. And that's one of those unique categories where a lot of people, it's the sleeplessness that actually causes most of the lack of all the other systems working. If we got great sleep, if we're able to go down just after sundown and wake up just after sunrise every single day and get a nice, good, full cycle of sleep, we would probably see most of our issues immediately leave our bodies. It's so unique how important this is, because this is when you're cleaning your organs. This is when you're actually moving the most of the toxicities around in the body and trying to make it available to be excreted out the very first thing next morning, not holding on to it. So when people aren't using the restroom routinely and they're holding material in for a few days on end, that's a few days worth of material. Like imagine if you just kept whatever was going in your trash can on your kitchen table the whole week, and then at the very end you put it all into a container and try to get rid of it. It's way too much stuff, and it's been sitting there rotting, stinking, becoming problems, and making other issues occur. So we really want to understand that when we don't sleep effectively and we're looking for overall good skin health, when we want our body to be functioning at its best, that can become one of the most important pieces. One of the most important. So I love working in a way that actually gives people information to where they can leave here and say, aha, I've got this little concern, this little issue, or I know somebody who has this little concern and has this issue, and I'm going to go give them that bit of information right now, because that's amazing that we can actually do something about this. You're going to hear a lot about the different components of what we have available and different food items as they go towards solving our problems. So one of the unique ones that I love to focus on, I think more than anything, is camelberry. Because of its nature, it is one of the highest vitamin C containing fruits that we know of that's actually easy for us to find, locate, and reproduce. There's a couple of other berries out there that seem to do a little bit more, but the access to them is so limited and they just don't grow in enough amount to where we really can't overproduce them. So it's hard for many people to be getting them in. But when it comes to taking in the amount of vitamin C that Camu berry dones to us, this is where we can finally alleviate blood oxygenation and get antioxidants. That's what we really want to have inside our body in great reserve, because vitamin C is a natural antioxidant. That's what it does, is it removes oxidation. So if you don't like the look of your overall skin, if your hair seems to not be able to stay inside your body, it's probably because there's an oxidation issue as well as other toxicities. But the toxicities are causing oxidation. So when you start using things like camelberry, then you really get the process here of moving your system over to a place that I think finally allows you to be in control of what's going on for your body. This is most important because also camu gives us serotonin, one of the most unique happy chemicals that we can have inside our body. So if you don't want frown lines, eat more camu. Get yourself to a point where you're actually in control of some mood issues as well too. And that's the beauty of these superfoods, is they're not just used for one thing, a single tool with a single function, and then they stop. The idea is most of these products are actually here doing multiple things and cleaning and cleansing a lot of different parts in the body and becoming a great resource for us. If you're looking for what I would call the fountain of youth in terms of foods and herbs, goji berry is by far one of the most interesting berries out there when it comes to herbal products, because one of the unique things that this berry produces is actually a precursor for HGH. And if we're looking for boosting our body's natural ability to just appear very vital, very young, very fresh, and if we have age occurring to us and it's showing, the idea is HGH is the way to really start playing against that clock. This particular hormone starts to work as an actual protector for all of the breakdown in the collagens, all of the breakdown in the elastins, the fibrogens, all the compounds that, again, give us that nice fullness without needing any type of injections or somebody else's fat tissue or anything else that's crazy out there to try to create that look and that appeal. It's as simple as actually getting something like a goji berry. It also has vitamin C, fantastic. It also has beta carotene, even better. It also has a ton of protein, and you can actually be able to see this food become such a great way to enjoy, knowing that you're actually eating something that's going to have a better effect on your skin overall, because it's working, again, from the inside out. It's actually allowing the other tissues, the other organs to maintain good health. And when they are vital, then the skin shows that process. But you can even put goji berry into an oil paste and technically do, or mud facial, and actually add goji or camu for that vitamin C content right to the dermis and let it be something that your body gets to absorb in like food directly to those cells and allow them to actually take this material. A lot of people do vitamin C facials, and then they don't realize the vitamin C they're using is ascorbic acid. And it's very common for that to be the case. And really, ascorbic acid is just a byproduct of corn. It has nothing to do with berries and natural good vitamin C and good nutrition. So you're really labeling something as beneficial because really it's a chemical analogous compound, but it doesn't have the same function at all. Goji berry, HGH, not only is it just one of those where the whole body feels better, but now, like the camelberry and the serotonin that it was giving you, your body just feels more elevated. It actually just, you have a better spirit. It's so unique how these particular foods are here. And then we have something called schizonderberry. And schizonderberry to me is one of, I don't know, I think I love this one more than I love really every other like major sort of food product out there. I probably have a favorite in each category, but when it comes to this one, I don't know what it is. I don't know why I like it so much, but for me, this is just the greatest one because of all the different functionalities on it. We call schizonderberry the 5-flavor berry. And the reason this is because when it touches the tongue, it activates all of the different taste bud centers of our tongue at the same time. So what happens is technically, like when you're with an acupuncturist, they're working on meridians. Well, all of your meridians end in your tongue. And the unique thing of understanding this when you activate them through using something like Schizonderberry is that it sends signals down the fibers for the liver to start to fluctuate and to do its job and get its system a little bit more clean, the kidneys to do their job and be a little more clean, the spleen, the gallbladder, the pancreas, all of these are connected to the way that we feel or taste on our tongue. If we taste sweet, it's going to activate the actual pancreas. If we taste bitter, it's going to activate the liver and the gallbladder. If we taste something that's on the astringent side, it activates the kidneys. Each flavor actually has some function in the human body, and you can now be in control of that. That's the most amazing part of this. Mixing this into our smoothies and shakes, what I do is I just take it right, put on the tongue, and let that whole craziness happen. That's why I think it's so amazing, because you literally can roll it around and go, oh yeah, really sour. And then you're like, oh, hey, now it's turned into something slightly different. You can feel these different flavors affect, and it's going to have a change to the body. So when you're looking, and this does a process, I think, for the esthetician in the room, it's funny because it does what's called tonification. The idea is a lot of times you'll do like a quick little kind of like facial rub, and the idea is you're tonifying the skin, or you're putting a particular kind of maybe an alcohol compound, because it just tightens everything. It just moves all this. It's doing that for the individual organs, letting them function a little better. Just like going to the gym and doing a couple bicep curls and going, yeah, it looks much better, it looks more toned now. I finally have that happening. The idea is you really want to tonify your organs, again, to get them to be doing their best work and helping clear the body and actually keep things in a much better condition on the outside of the skin. Schizonderberry, can't say enough about it. For me personally, I know a lot of people who go, can't even take it in the smallest portion in a drink because sometimes they're a little toxic. And the unique thing is when they activate that bitter sense or the astringent sense, their body dumps a little bit of material and they feel bad. And they go, oh, not doing that again. That's where sometimes the best medicine isn't actually always going to make you feel the best until you can really get yourself in some good understanding and move through this overall process. So I want to make sure we talk about the next one before I jump over. And we're good on time. Okay.
So what would you do in that case? Just do it anyway?
Well, we can start in other places. We can go if you take Schizandra and it does create a headache or a nausea feeling or something's happening. It's unique as well too because I've had people who take it and they go, yeah, I felt this really big pain on my side, and I pain. No, that's kind of odd. It's just a berry. And then I go, have you by chance had your gallbladder out? And they go, well, yes, 7 years ago. I'm like, well, that's where your pain came from because it was trying to activate the gallbladder. Gallbladder's not there. So the nerve thinks pain because, hey, where'd the gallbladder go? So it's unique in this process of trying to understand how I wouldn't make you soldier on and be like, no, you got to take it no matter how bad you feel. We would just stop and go, maybe we need to detox in a different way because this is going to flush things, and without binding it up, we're not going to be able to maybe feel the best. So maybe we need to do a good detox cleanse, a good blood cleanse for a little while, and let some of that stuck in material that's been maybe building up for decades finally leave. And then we take the Schizonderberry a little bit, and you go, yeah, I feel it, but not so bad. Ooh, we're getting the system clean. Things start to improve, and we can really see that take effect. So the next amazing one, I still feel like it's the unsung hero of the entire store because Baobab does this really interesting process. How many people here routinely take a probiotic? I'm not raising my hand. I don't do it anymore. Okay. So so like fermented foods and ways to get probiotics through the foods.
Kombucha.
And kombuchas, yeah, all these are great. The funny thing about it is this. A lot of people are spending a lot of money and literally just dumping it down, quote unquote, the toilet. Literally. And so the problem here is that a lot of people go after probiotics because it's something that we can understand. I think everybody can understand we're supposed to have good bacteria in here and we're supposed to be, following the commercials and a yogurt a day, and that's going to balance the digestive system and everything will be perfectly fine. It doesn't happen so often, truthfully. Their success rate just by doing Activia alone, we'll see. But the reason being is that your colon's toxic, typically, if you're having digestive issues already. Then you go and throw new bacteria into the colon. Oh, that's kind of like having a house that doesn't have a roof and all the water's been in there and it's made everything, and you just put new furniture in and go, hey, new house, right? Not quite. We've got to clean things up. We've got to change the structure, the environment of the colon. And baobab actually is what we call a prebiotic, and that means it's actually food for our probiotics. Not only is it a good fiber donor, guess what? It's got vitamin C, it's got a lot of minerals, it's got a lot of other good components to it as well too. But the main piece here is that when you're throwing new bacteria in the gut and hoping that they take seed and take root, this is like giving them a little bit of a power up in terms of giving them the food that they actually like to eat. They'll digest your food, double doubles and milkshakes and whatever it is that you might be drinking, eating and drinking on a day, but they're not really happy about it. They actually will do it and they'll go, we can't really break this down fully. It's not exactly what we want to see. We'll try. We'll give it the best shot. And so what's unique about trying to take baobab in is they go, yes, this is finally the food we've been looking for, and now let me build up a few 100 trillion of my particular friends here, because that's the game you're playing. You're actually playing a game that the numbers for the bacteria you contain is 7 to 10 trillion in just your gut system. That's not all the other probiotics and all the other different spots of the body. But the unique thing is that gut. So when a lot of people buy a probiotic, they're like, yeah, it's got 20 billion. Sounds good. That's like $30. That sounds fantastic for me. So you're taking a capsule or two capsules and you're putting 20 billion in, and you're having those soldiers be the guys who go against 7 to 10 trillion. So if you've seen the movie 300, yeah, that's kind of what you're hoping is going to happen, and it doesn't usually work out so well. But with baobab, it actually can start to change the environment to the colon and really work well for getting that probiotic to survive and thrive and take place of all those other numbers. Bacteria grow very well, very quickly if they're fed properly and if they're taken care of. So that's that unique spot to where if you're going to spend some money, a lot of times what I do for people is I say 30 days, get the most expensive, highest quality probiotic you can find. We try to find the best one in the selection system, a lot of different strains, a lot of different numbers, and then we try to super dose that material in while having something like baobab. So then finally, maybe we're working with the idea of, say, 500 billion versus 10 trillion. And they can win really well because your body loves probiotic. It doesn't like the bad guys, and it tries to fight them. But until you get good guys in there and really doing their number, then one of the nice things is to really have a relationship with something like baobab. So plant inulins and the fibers that are there, just phenomenal and can really make a big difference.
So would you actually take that along with the probiotics? Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't have to go in at the same time.
Okay.
It doesn't have to go in at the same time. As long as it's in the gut, when the probiotic get in there, they're going to actually start eating it and using it and then getting to where their numbers will multiply, and it'll help you out, allowing them to seed themselves. And this keeps you away from a lot of really expensive sort of treatments where they'll take like ox bile and like someone else's fecal material and then go and inject it into you in order to try to get probiotic back in your body. For people who've been on a lot of antibiotics or gone through chemo or something like that, this is a tough issue. But what's nice is if we can really see the ability to rebuild the gut flora by giving them the proper food, we're going to make the best condition, I think, for ourselves. And so anytime you see issues that are actually happening in the big centers of the cheek or right here on the tops of the eyes, especially right the front chin, and any of the actual hormone issues that occur along the chin line, 98% of our hormones are made in our gut. So if the gut's having problems, if you've got IBS, if you've got routine constipation, diarrhea, those types of issues, and we did our stomach distress talk a couple weeks ago, but if those problems are happening, then your hormone levels are always going to be off. Things are going to not work out so well because they're made in this environment. And that factory to make those hormones needs to be kept in great condition so it can do it very efficiently and functionally. We really do see a huge connection and relationship between, again, that gut health and the way our skin presents itself. So I love this, like I said, I really don't know of anything that I could say, and this is part of our 5 essentials. When it comes to 5 essentials, granted they're all important, but I would say most people feel the most change and the most difference in their life when they start taking things like MSM. Methylsulfonylmethane is a really, really fancy way of saying organic methylated sulfur and sulfur that your body knows how to absorb. So for people who are allergic to like sulfa drugs and sulfates or sulfites in wine and things like that, a lot of times it's because you're sulfur deficient that your body has an allergy. And that's one of those unique indicators to where it's, oh yeah, I get this major headache every time I drink, a little bit of wine. Sulfur deficient because your body's trying to pull the incorrect molecule out of your food, and that's not the right way of getting it. On the MSM side, though, this has been designed and purified to the point to where it's just organic sulfur. So now you finally get, and most of the berries we've been talking about are found inside the MSM morning mix. So a lot of what we're talking about today can almost be summed up with just make sure you take your morning mix, because this is going to start that process. And at least get some exposure to your body for a lot of these different components. But the main reason that we want MSM to be inside our body and doing what it's doing is in order for us to actually have great liver activation. So by putting MSM in, our liver gallbladder complex finally can start to squeeze and make the enzymes that you need. And this will further your digestive potential and allow for you to finally break food down fully, instead of letting most of it turn toxic and not be absorbed to the body. Great for hydration. I know that's not something I talked about in these last few minutes, but there is nothing more important, and I would just say for feminine health, but really all health, but for sure feminine health, is balancing how much water you're taking in and making sure you're getting hydrated. And hydrated doesn't mean I drink a gallon of water, I must be fine. You can actually be drinking a gallon of water, and I know it seems a little gross, but if you actually collect that urine for the day that you're drinking a gallon, and a gallon comes out, that means nothing got absorbed by the body, and your exchange rate actually is probably, you need to be absorbing more of your hydration. Um, so MSM helps in that. Yes?
Express that whole thing one more time a little bit.
So one of the unique things is that you can be drinking a gallon of water a day and still not getting hydrated. It'll just go through the digestive tract and out the digestive tract, not being absorbed into the actual tissues of the body and keeping it to where that you're actually fully hydrated. So MSM, what we're so lucky about is it opens up the cells and allows for those little pores to let water in and out to actually allow for cellular hydration to occur. And so if you're going to test this, the unique way to do that is to actually do a 24-hour collection on your urine and know how much ounces came in and how much ounces came out. If it's equal, then the idea is you probably are not absorbing as much of the water you think you are. It's just being passed right through the body. And that can create some issues. That can actually do, again, just make it to where you have the potential for migraines, have the potential for headaches, for a lot of eye soreness, for muscle soreness, because you're always chronically dehydrated. And it's very different than being actually in a state of hydration. Very, very different.
Feeling like that and not even be thirsty.
Of course. And what's unique is, like we talked about, the car that gives you the little bleeper, the little light there that says, hey, you're thirsty, you're thirsty, you're thirsty. After a while, that light goes out, the button goes off, and your body doesn't even say, I'm thirsty anymore, because you've kind of ignored that process for such a long time. And then now what do? Well, I drink a bottle of water a day. Why? Well, because I was told I was supposed to drink water. Well, aren't you ever thirsty? No. Okay, that's a communication issue. And again, it's funny because those people also be the ones that go, I don't sweat. Maybe we need to put more water in the system, and then we can actually have everything going back to being fully active again, and we can see good health come back to us as well too. So it is interesting how this process, is so wonderful in terms of what it can do to get our bodies. And it's so simple as, are you drinking enough water, and is it being absorbed? Very good question. Yes?
Well, I drink a gallon of water a day for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
No way you're saying it's not supposed to be the same amount coming out?
No, you should have some retention. Some. Yeah. Some should be retained by your body.
But you can tell in your skin.
Correct. Well, and I mean, Val, honestly, as you're sitting here and everyone can, do a little bit of oogling for 2 seconds, you've got great skin. Drinking a gallon of water a day and taking care of yourself and living the life you do, it shows, and that's one of those where when someone says, oh yeah, I drink a gallon of water a day, and you've actually got good complexion behind it, well, that means you've got that great relationship going on and your body's responding properly. So, be happy. Gifted. One of the things that I would say honestly is so difficult, and I'm not going to give it too much because I think it's become a dragon, but there is things called candida yeast that grows inside the body. If you're not digesting your food very effectively and your sugars are building up in your system, your body will produce more candida in order to actually break those sugars down. So if you're a person who has diabetic struggles, or you see your actual glucose levels raised pretty dramatically, and even if they might come down and you're not on medication yet, you're still going to have a little too much glucose floating around in the bloodstream and being left over in certain organs, especially the intestines. And when candida is overgrowing, it robs a lot of energy out of the body. It takes a lot of hormones away from the way the body operates. And again, it makes everything inside the digestive system just slow down and be more sticky instead of actually being able to be flowing through very effectively and causing you to have good elimination. So candida is a tough bug because you need it. It actually needs to be there in just a little bit amount. It needs to be balanced, and there should not be systemic candida growing everywhere outside of where it needs to be, which is inside the gut. So the unique thing is by just doing a little bit of pau d'arco on a routine basis, this is a very wonderful anti-mold, antibacterial, great tonifier for keeping overall bacteriums, a lot of antigen levels down to where we don't actually need to be on antibiotics or anything that shows that we're, and again, people who take antibiotics for different styles of yeast infections, they are going to cause more yeast infections. And that cycle just continues down the road because you killed more bacteria inside the body that were probiotics. Now there needs to be more yeast in order to take away all the sugar, and so it just creates that cycle. Pau d'arco isn't going to destroy the good bacterium that's inside your body, so it protects the actual good probiotic and lets our bodies finally get some balance back in by being able to kill and take away some of the other components that can be taken away or help. So candida, very important to be balanced. Don't try to just eliminate it. Don't stay on a candida diet for too long. It'll hurt you. We really want to be just, again, in good knowledge and good operation of understanding how our candida can be our greatest tool and really helpful, but also be one of those things that gets out of control. So then I love talking about some of these other unique compounds that really bring good healing back into the body. And I just want to work with a couple of these because these ones I think really make the biggest difference. So really quickly, I know we're kind of going a little bit past time here, so I want to just mention them. So I grabbed Triphala first. Triphala is, what it really means is three energies, three berries. There's three berries in here. And these three berries do a fantastic job at balancing peristalsis inside our digestive cavity. So if we're not moving things through the body very effectively, by taking Triphala, we can start to allow our body to have good cyclicity and balance overall inside the way that our body's operating. So Triphala is one of these fantastic digestive flow materials to just help get away from irregularity and overall not being able to process and eliminate material outside the body very effectively. Turmeric is another fantastic herb that I would say has a ton of benefit in the actual beauty and complexion world. Not so much as a topical because it can stain your skin a little bit yellow. Maybe a new alternative to spray tan, possible. But the funny thing here is that the reason we want turmeric to be involved in our lives is it cuts that inflammation level down. And if you're inflamed and you see it on the face and it's affecting your lifestyle and your body, the idea is we need to find solutions. So the MSM is an anti-inflammatory. Really, goji berries and camu berries with their antioxidants, they're anti-inflammatories as well too. But turmeric has a little bit of a different function because it'll actually take inflammation away from certain organs, certain tissues like the gut system, and make it to where our whole body starts to operate in a very different way. So turmeric can be definitely one of these that I love as an herbal solution to where even if you're just, and I know this is one of those things, what is our idyllic or stereotypical picture of a Indian skin? Most of them have solid, good, great complexion because that turmeric powder is the inflammation's way down in their bodies. They don't get inflamed as much as we do. So we know that there's some relationship there to good health, good hair, good function in the body.
Is that form a lot better than taking, what is it, curcumin?
Yeah, curcumin is an extract that they pull out of the turmeric, and a lot of times they do that with alcohol, which is not very healthy for the turmeric plant. This powder is again one of the best we've been able to find and sourced directly from India, and grown very naturally and holistically by an Ayurvedic doctor. And then we also have the turmeric that's actually already blended. Of course, I see that, and then it's not there. Usually we have a turmeric oil product that one of the great things about turmeric is it should be mixed into the body with oil and black pepper. That's to fully activate it. Curcumin's a fat-soluble compound, so that when you have oil available, and if you look at most Ayurvedic or Indian-style dishes, when they're making a curry, it's a very good, thick, kind of oily soup that goes around, and again, that's part of that whole cooking procedure with the peppers and everything blended into that. Yes?
Did you ever talk about that one? The one you're holding?
No. So, shatavari. This is asparagus root. Very interesting because, again, asparagus root does something very different than asparagus. We all know asparagus. Asparagus root, on the other hand, is a great and overall sex hormone balancer. So one of the nice things that a lot of times when we're experiencing deflocculation or loss of hair, to where we're actually missing, and we're losing hair very continuously, it's usually caused by a molecule called DHT, which is a very unusable form of testosterone. And one of those unique things is that we can absorb things like DHEA that convert directly to DHT and can actually cause more testosterone, improper testosterone, as well as certain estrogens, estrogen 2 and estrogen 3. If they go really high in the body, they can cause hair loss. A lot of hormones are involved in keeping good quality hair.
So the ovaries, ovarian.
Correct. So this is a nice balancer for actually getting something in a tea or into a shake on a routine basis, as well as a good just chemical relaxant. It just does a fantastic job at grounding our body because it's a root product, so it actually has this nice energy of relaxation. But shatavari is definitely one of these that I know a lot of people, high anxiety function, bad digestion, very anxious stomachs even, that have a lot of quickness to release IBS condition, starts to correct a lot of that irritation and reduce that. Now that lets us build better hormones, and that's one of those nice things that this is known as a hormone balancer. But I think for hair, skin, and nails, when it comes to all these pieces, if we can stop inflammation, start building antioxidants, and balance hormones, that's the trifecta of getting it to where everything in the body is produced very, very functionally and very, very healthily. So we talked a lot about berries. We talked a lot about different fruits. We've got things like turmeric in here, cinnamon. So we talked a little bit about candida and palearca. Cinnamon is one of the best compounds as one of the highest level antioxidants that we can find on this planet. Hops and maybe a couple different types of CBDs might have just a little bit more antioxidants, but good Ceylon cinnamon lowers sugar in the body, which means you're fighting candida. High level blood antioxidant. It's heating, so it actually has a thermogenic reaction. It heats the body and helps you reduce adipose tissue and convert more material out of the digestive cavity. So cinnamon's just one of these all around, and again, very unsung heroes in the kitchen cabinet for how functional and healthy it can be. But just make sure that you're taking it from Ceylon. The Ceylon cinnamon is the only digestible cinnamon. Cassia, Saigon cinnamons that aren't just unlabeled, they're kind of imposter plants. They smell like cinnamon, but they have nothing to do with the compounds. And they contain a very high level liver toxin that actually can clog your liver, which that causes more issues when it comes to the body and how we function with things. Yes?
First off, is that Cusack cinnamon?
Of course.
Okay, so what about the cinnamon, like the organic one in Sprout?
If it's not labeled and you don't know where it came from, then the idea is that it's hard to trust it.
Because my liver's been killing me every now and then throughout the year.
Yeah.
I just sprinkle like 2-3 times a day.
The funny thing is this: if you actually just put the cinnamon in water, and if there's a really thick gelatinous material that forms at the bottom, that's the liver toxin.
Yeah.
Ceylon cinnamon doesn't do that.
Okay.
So that's one of those, if you're using cinnamon routinely, people who've started taking cinnamon pills for diabetic control. They were told by some person, hey, this is a great idea. Just make sure it's the right type. So important. Everything here in the store Colin and Marilyn with raw relations, that's what they spend so much of their time doing is that the actual best that the plant can be produced? Is it the right type of production? How is it going to affect the human body? And that's one of these beautiful relationships that we can come into.
I'm so new to all this.
Yeah.
Just briefly, because I know the time. Can you really take all? I mean, is it
Oh,
take it all?
yeah. Of course. It might be tough at first because that's one of those where no, and that's what's funny is the pharmaceutical system has this sort of mentality that if you take something or you're taking 2 herbs or whatever, that they will somehow magically mix together and become toxic. And that's what poisons do. And that's the unique thing is that if you look at most good cooking, it's not that you say cinnamon and spice, clove in my muffins. Oh, now they're death cookies. Like these sugar snaps. They go with the body system, and as long as they're really understood, your plants, then you can keep any of those no, it's really one of those, and that's the beauty of this system is it's holistic, it's balanced, it takes care of you. And even if you're silly one day and you're like, oh, I love to do the cinnamon challenge I see on YouTube, yeah, that's going to hurt. But the idea is, natural compounds have so few issues that do occur with them that unlike most pharmaceutical systems, how we're told to be trusting that they're safe, yet every single year I watch as the list keeps growing on recalled, major damaging, horribly functioning, all of these. Oh man, it's terrible. The unique thing is this, is for a lot of people when you're talking about being new to this, is next week's class. What should I start with? What's most important? Where should I go from here? So we're learning a lot of information tonight that really focuses on just the skin health. But how do I be kind to myself overall? Next week we'll talk a lot about that in the 5 essentials. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That's a very good class.
Well, I've been taking the MS serum for about 6 months. That's why I'm here. It's life-changing.
Yeah, it's life-changing.
And then the ink and root spirulina.
Good protein source.
This week I added maca, and I'm tired. So maybe I'm tired, like you said, it's sleep. I don't know. I'm never tired, but it's not body tired, it's head
tired.
So maybe I'm just detoxing.
Could be detoxing.
Maybe it's not the maca.
And the maca, like I say, for some people, it's unique because the way it works in South America is that it can actually be balancing your hormones. And instead of living on adrenaline all the time, that might be an issue. Now the adrenaline's being taken out of the body. So you might be more calm and able to actually relax more, which is great, but you're not used to it because you're used to being up and go all the time. Yeah. And is that healthy? That's not exactly healthy. So it's unique how there's a relationship there. Definitely.
So I was just going to say, with maca, I found out that, depending on the day or the week or what's going on, just do different kinds of amount of it. And maybe
Mix it
you don't
around.
need some, maybe you need more.
Yeah.
You just play around with it until you figure out if everything like here is the same. You just kind of like do different things and see what's giving you a really good day and this, and then you kind of write that down and keep that, and maybe try different things, and maybe you're just going to be home all day.
Keep a good experiment
You just
going.
keep it very limited to maybe just 1 or 2 things, but you're going to have a hard day. Then you might take the whole,
That's exactly right. All right, so let me try to get finished here in these next couple of minutes with these details. We'll have a few minutes to do a few more questions and answers, and then if there is anything that anyone wants to pick up tonight after hearing all the great details, then we can go ahead and move on to that. So, healthy skin, very important. We talked about the dermis. Most people don't exfoliate very well. Esthetician says yes. So, one of the greatest relationships for us to actually have with our body is a process called dry brushing. Very, very wonderful system. And what you do is you actually get a very either horsehair or at least it's a very rigid brushed connection. You can do it with just a hot towel. You can actually just roll a towel. Like if you take a hand towel and fold it into half twice and then twist it, kind of go long ways. It'll work kind of the same way. But with dry brushing, the point is lymph with you standing up and living kind of vertically all day long is always flowing down. Unlike the blood, we don't have a heart that pumps lymph. It just flows with the way gravity moves and with our exercise level, and that's what moves lymph around. So when you dry brush, you're grabbing from the bottom of the foot and you're moving up against gravity in order just to push that material around. And you'll be bringing the legs up to the mid portion. You'll take the arms and bring the arms towards the torso. You'll rub the torso as much as you can and really kind of rub the neck and everything because of all the lymph nodes that are around the actual neck area, and just be moving those things around. I'm not the type of person who can afford a nice hour and a half massage every single day, so I don't get that luxury. But technically what a masseuse will do for you is that's what their process is they're moving lymph around. They're using physical movement to really hopefully relax your body. The big thing there is moving lymph. Very, very important. Yes.
So honestly, I have been doing that for decades, and it's like massage.
Yeah, self-massage.
And if you go without for a day or two, you're really wondering what's going on with you. But then when you think to do it, I do it in the shower, and it's like, oh my God, I feel wonderful. Even if I'm groggy and trying to get up and ready, it's just like, just do it, and it feels so good as the day goes on.
The exfoliation moves blood flow. It rubs all those capillaries, so it makes your heart kind of get some exercise going again. And if anything's toxic to the human body, it starts rubbing it out and actually physically moving it away from you. Daily oil use, this is one of those where everybody needs to find an oil that works well for their body. Not everybody's going to respond well to coconut oil as much as everyone loves coconut oil. Some people need to use avocado oil. Some people need to use mustard oil, almond oil, kukui nut oil. There's literally hundreds of different types of nuts and seeds and everything that's out there that can help bring good oil. The big thing is you want an oil that actually absorbs into the skin, so it's donating moisture inside the body and kind of forms a little bit of a sheen or a chemical, a nice oil protectant layer. So that way you're not seeing little dried bits of skin. And if you do see dried bits of skin, you need to be not lotioning in order to try to stick those back on and try to make it look okay. You need to exfoliate and pull them off because they're dead already. If you can't save them, they've decided they're out, and you need to be bringing up the new ones and getting them toughened and get them back to the point to where, and the first few times you do this, you might literally pull like a pile of skin off of off your body and be a little pink in some areas. But that pink is new, and now if you start the routine of dry brushing very frequently, your body gets used to it, and then it knows, hey, toughen up a little bit, get some good quality dermis cells up here.
How do you know what oil is good for you without trying them?
Kinesiology is amazing. I don't know if you've understood kinesiology or know how that works. So you can go into a store and technically, put an oil kind of next to you and do a kinesiology test and find out which one strengthens your body, and you'll respond very well in that way. Start off with some simple ones if you're not doing kinesiology. Almond oil is very common for a lot of people. Macadamia nut oil, kukui nut oil, those are from Hawaii. Sesame oil can be good. Some people, when it comes to high levels of omega-6, can be a little bit inflammatory. And I've seen that happen where they put the oil on and they break out kind of in a little red rash hive and they're like, what happened? I'm like, well, what oil did you use? Well, sesame. Then it's not good for your body. And you'll see that. It does happen. Bath detoxification is one of my favorite things. Absolute favorite things. There's nothing more, minus cooking a really, really amazing meal, nothing more loving than finally taking 15 to 30 to 50 minutes at the end of your day to say, I'm worth some hot water, some good minerals, and letting stuff just flow out of my body the natural way it's supposed to. A little bit of sweat. If you've got a sauna, use your sauna. If you've got a far infrared sauna, even better. If you want a far infrared sauna, we have one at the Wellness Center, and you can come in and just sit inside the sauna, let that pull material out of your body, and then if you can get home, like I say, open those pores up, let them leach material out, get that nice sweaty oil out of you, and detox some of it, hopefully after dry brushing. If you can see how this all works together, and if you're eating a lot of the foods we've talked about today, then that starts changing the whole way your skin, your hair, and your nails, everything looks by adding in all the proper minerals, by detoxing the body very effectively and allowing for you to just start looking very gorgeous, very brilliant, because it is from the inside out that you can control this. Very difficult to go from the outside in, and that's where plastic surgery has become such a wonderful industry, and yet they don't do a lot to really help a person actually heal. They cover it up. They make it look like it's okay. And it's one of those where we can do better. We can definitely treat ourselves better. If anybody's interested, what I have is actually a bath detoxification protocol to where they can actually sit in a tub and over the course of about 3 to 4 months mix in different components into the bath that actually detoxes different things away from you and starts improving your overall health. So if you drop off your email, I'll send that over, and that way at least gives you a starting point to understand we're going to use things like borax and hydrogen peroxide and washing soda and citric acid, and they just again allow the body to release plastics and different types of pesticides and fertilizers, your own stuck in fat soluble toxins, even heavy metals, and sometimes I know this from experience, parasites and things that have been living inside of you that shouldn't be living inside you. And it's tough because that process is, again, sometimes a part of that. But getting our overall health, focusing on the gut, like I say, the takeaway from here tonight is that you can actually own your health by doing something about it. Instead of saying, yeah, don't really know why I feel or look this way, or things are showing up and I'm not listening to those little beeper signals and those little spots. I want to have a different body. I want to appear different. It can all happen. There's hope for everything out there to start changing, but you got to start somewhere. So maybe come back next week. Maybe hear the 5 Essentials talk. Bring a few more people in and say, hey, listen, here's an actual plan that might have some sort of traction on changing the way we feel on a day-to-day basis and improving our health. So if there are any questions, I know we're kind of behind time. If anyone's looking to pick up certain items, I kind of would love for that to be the first step is to grab those items. Let's get them on the counter so that way Maddie can check anybody out who's picking up anything. If you have questions, we'll still leave the cameras running to make sure those questions actually get to be a part of the video. And then if there's anything more personal than that, we can talk right afterwards. But so if there are any questions, I would love to take those now. Yes.
3. In your fat soluble toxins, you were naming like plastics, and I wanted to write down the other ones. I did catch it.
Yeah, so all your fertilizers, your VOCs, plastics, those are, and most of your heavy metals, again, are usually stuck inside a lot of the fat soluble material. That's where we see like aluminum and mercury toxicity really affecting the brain, highest fat containing organ that we have. And this is something that we do find in the skin as well too, and in the lymph system, and the body's trying to store those types of toxins. So, yep, definitely a big concern there.
And then you said, you were saying, the first things you were saying was about why you got into this health thing. It was because you were, and then you said, and with passion and then career.
Oh, yes. So the idea is it goes from a hobby or a pastime.
No, why did you first get into trying to be healthy?
So the very first time I thought about being healthful was right after I had started saltwater aquarium work, and I was taking care of fish, and I was going to the store, and I came away from the store with literally like 2 bags full of like the health food items that my fish needed. And I remember going in, and I kind of was like, yeah, I think this stupid fish cost me like $200 and something. And I set them on the counter, and then I look and I go, oh, you're in a glass cage, and you can't control your environment. I just brought in all the food that's supposed to keep you healthy, and at that exact time, I looked inside, because I was at my office where I had my work. I looked inside my cubicle, and I'm like, I'm in a glass cage, and I need to get better nutrition in. It literally made that equivocal sense, and that's when I started kind of just going through like some of the details of the research, was taking care of that fish aquarium. And it's so funny because if it's this hard, why didn't anybody tell me that I need to be taking things like sublingual vitamin D or sublingual vitamin B and vitamin C and certain, like no one said that to me. They just said hot dogs and hamburgers, fantastic. Pizza whenever you feel like it. That makes the body good. So it really started me down that path of researching. And it just so happened at the time that I was actually working in a biotech lab and working in a cancer lab and getting a lot of exposure to cellular information and understanding biology. And it really started making sense. Like, this is how it happens. We get denutrified, our bodies can't keep and maintain things, and then bad things happen. So let's stop that process. Let's get healthy first. And then I had my health crisis, which really took the information I had gained and turned it into something that was absolutely necessary, and there was no way I could ignore it. And then it became very happy and very passionate, like I say, very passion centered, because then I was just talking to everybody about it, and then it turned into where I'm at today. So, and then that's just been a fantastic journey, going through that whole process.
And you mentioned the wellness center?
Yes, yes. So if you want to grab a card, or like I say, I can get your email, then the idea is the Wellness Center on Technology Drive, Optimum Wellness Network. We're there every day of the week, Monday through, most of us are there Saturday, trying to just help people understand this whole process. Lots of different practitioners who work on all different types of modalities. I'm the integrated nutrition specialist, and my whole concept there is to build an eating system involving all the right pieces, so that way you kind of handle your own health and you really know how to do it for you. People read a lot of books or they listen to websites or whatever, and then they go away from that and they, oh, like this didn't really work for me. Well, is it application? Is it information? Is it you're stuck? We do a lot towards actually balancing the brain first, and the attitude, and the idea of people who come in, they go, well, I'll just never heal. Oh, really? Well, you're right. Okay, great. We got to fix step one first. Like that's the step one. And if we can get you believing, oh yeah, hey, if I keep this up, maybe I can heal. Okay, great. That's better than I can't. I still think it's impossible. That's fine. Like okay, but it's stepping yourself into a place where this becomes a lifestyle and a habit that becomes something that's really enjoyable. I love working with people past those steps and getting into the zone where, like I say, I redesigned my kitchen. It's now pretty much a smoothie bar because this is my food system. Our microwave's now a spice rack. We don't even, use anything that's like, it's really funny how like the whole house has become just very helpful. And that's definitely something where a lot of people are just looking for those steps. They just need those steps. And next week, 5 essentials is sometimes the easiest first step. You've already started on MSM, but did you know the power of magnesium? Or the way iodine works with the body, or these other pieces. So we'll talk a little bit about that next week, and it'll be a ton of fun. So we'll go through those details. And like I said, thank you for everybody coming this evening, for joining us. Fantastic time. I really hope that, like I say, if we have to change the chair configuration back, if we get more than 12 people, we'll switch the chairs around. But we just want everybody to be as helpful and happy. So if there's any other questions, like I say, I'll be kind of packing things up and shutting things down. Just let me know if I can help you personally. If you want to drop your emails off, like I say, just throw them on the laptop here, and I'll be able to send over the bath protocol. So that way you can kind of start taking care of yourself one bath at a time.
Thank you.
I have one more thing to throw out.
Yep.
I never get this out of my mouth, but I do throw in, what is it? Not garlic. Not garlic, but what's the other root? Not garlic, but
Ginger?
Ginger. I throw in ginger and everything starting in the morning.
Yep.
And throughout the day, it does take away the feeling of pain all over my body. Like
Right
now, I didn't really get to throw that in today, so I'm feeling it all over my body again. But we never talk about ginger, or the ginger that they sell in those same bottles.
Yeah.
The cinnamon in the store. Is there a better ginger other than the?
Well, I think still fresh ginger and juiced ginger is probably the best.
Now, where can I get the best organic?
You grow yourself. That's honestly the best. Ginger's really not that hard to grow. Like I say, it's a little bit easier. You can grow it just in literally a small tub, about 4 inches of water, hydroponically, and they will just take off and keep producing more tubers. And you just break off what you want and leave it in the tub, and it'll just keep going.
You don't need any soil.
They don't require soil if you've got like a hydroponic system, or it's just a bucket of water that you're changing the water out and doing a little bit of nutrification. Like I said, hydroponic shops always have the liquid nutrition. Pretty much it's what I was putting inside fish tanks. So instead of using Miracle Grow, which if you want to just understand how I kind of try to live, any dollar you give to Miracle Grow is technically telling the people who make GMOs, go ahead and keep doing it. same company. So Miracle-Gro, as much as I used to be the type of guy that loved the idea of putting that, I didn't understand a long time ago that that's actually helping not keep people healthy. So composting, but no, the hydroponic store is always going to have the liquid mineral nutrition. They're everywhere. Literally, hydroponic stores are all over town.
I don't know. Is that fish store?
Nope. Hydroponics, how you grow plants in water.
Like where could I go to?
There's one on Jefferson. There's two down in Alta Murrieta. They're literally everywhere. If you just type, like I say, I know you're not big into
I'm
the
learning.
the computers, yeah. So the hydroponic store will have liquid plant nutrition, and that way you can add it to the water.
I just took a round of antibiotics and haven't
Oh no! Impacted tooth.
actually I bone rut, so
Uh-huh.
so my gut's hurting right now. But I did go get
Oh, the SIBO test.
or something.
Oh, you called, yeah.
I know. So good stuff right there, right?
Yeah, the Baobab's amazing. And while you're trying to bounce back from the antibiotics,
Like you said, it's gonna take a year.
no, people who don't focus on it at all, if they don't take it, and that's the funny part. Most people who are taking antibiotics can't go another year without taking their antibiotic, and that's where it becomes this terrible thing. But the most, like I say, the most important piece is getting that good gut health back in there.
I can really feel it, yeah.
And like I say, finding. I like to say honestly, most probiotics that don't have more than say 12 to 15 strains or so, kind of not worth the money. And if they're not 50 to 100 billion per whatever, 2 capsules or capsule, however that goes, or if it's like a liquid one, we're going to shake up like a little test tube or whatever, and each one of those as it goes. Like I say, it usually is going to take a lot longer to rebuild. So, yeah, I don't know if I see it here today. We usually use Dr. O'Hara's because he's one of the best probiotic donors. We also have Dr. Bob Marshall. So he uses this particular probiotic, and you can see that there's not only all of the actual fermentation material, but we've got I think 1 million on the Benephytum, in terra. So it's got like 7 strains. These would work great together. Again, this is the OPA probiotic. They might, like I say, usually Dr. O'Hara's is right here in the blue box. But even going to Roots and just looking at those options and saying, okay, to me a good probiotic's about $60+ most of the time. That's the problem. And they probably should be refrigerated, and they probably should be Terra-coated, encapsulated, so they can actually make it in the test. But the Baobab, no, it'll help everything with that regrow. Yes, very, very functional. And that MSM you're taking is also one where that's helping your digestion and improving the capabilities for your body to just digest food more effectively. So you're not experiencing that taxation that occurs from where die-off. Die-off just causes. But one of the spirulina is fantastic. Yeah, it's again just not part of the actual it's great anti-inflammatory, great protein, great amino acids, great everything. But trying to focus on different things.
I'm really looking at that's right. I know as a child.
Yep, very common.
Nobody
That's one of those issues. Finding out what foods are exactly, and that's where, like I say, tons of these materials, meats here for blood filling and nitric oxide. That's what just releases all that great oxygenation inside the bloodstream, combined with like the goji berries. We do a lot of goji and beets and baobab together. Not only is it delicious, which is a nice kind of like homemade juice, but you're getting nitric oxide into the you're getting HGH, and you're getting digestive balance all at the same time. And those three together, I just again feel is really like the nicest ways of helping the heart. It helps take pressure off the liver, it helps take pressure off the blood system itself, and then you're still really good. So as you're adding in really
Yeah, well, TNG. I don't.
One of the byproducts here is very and so that helpful material is really and we can see that actually in this effect as well. Yeah.
We have a great talk.
Thank you. It's a ton of fun.
So,
And you're gonna get into magnesium next week.
so obviously I've been at this for a couple years now, but we were always trained externally, and in the last couple years I've been really trying to get into learning more about from the inside, because that's something that I really try to preach to my clients. But it's also a personal struggle I deal with myself. I've always struggled with acne, but I know it already stems from my gut because I've had issues since I came home with my gut. So that's what I'm really I've been working on already for quite a while. I've come here, I send people here all the time. I've been in here many times, talked to Steven. He got me set up with a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But recently, I've been told I need to do a little detox of cutting out the gluten, the dairy, and the sugar. So that's currently, I've been doing that for about a week.
Okay.
Right now, it's still pretty new.
Okay.
So I'm trying that. But what else can I mean, I already